And welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you and broadcasting from the Families USA Health Action Conference here in Washington, D.C. And Christina Postolowski is with me. And if you can get just a little bit closer, so I get you on the camera here. We're on Free Speech TV as well. Let me turn this. There we go.
You got me?
Yes.
Great.
Okay. You are the Senior Policy Analyst with Young Invincibles, the website younginvincibles.org.
That is correct.
Are you invincible?
No,
You're
we are
clearly
not,
young.
believe it or not. Even though that's the stereotype about our generation, we actually need health care and need coverage.
So you've created an organization to and targeted toward and by millennials?
Yep. We represent young adults ages 18 to 35 on the economic issues that affect our generation. So that's healthcare, higher education, and jobs and employment.
That is great. That is great. That's, and those are the big issues of our day, I think, not just for millennials, but, right across the board. But those are really, really big issues. So with regard to healthcare, what are you up to?
So we have been working on our Healthy Young America campaign for about a year now. We've been traveling across the country, talking to young people as well as other organizations that work with young adults, telling them what's in the Affordable Care Act, what their health care options are, and for those groups that work with young people, how they can do outreach.
And how can they do outreach?
A lot of it depends on the particular young people you're meeting with and where you are. So, for community colleges, for example, we've encouraged them to have as part of their orientation program something on healthcare and the new options for healthcare coverage. A lot of community colleges don't offer a student health plan, and students may be a little bit older, so they might not be in a parent's plan. Right. So there's a high need for these new affordable options on those campuses, for example.
Right, and what? The Koch brothers are spending apparently millions of dollars on these ads, these creepy Uncle Sam, with a speculum and with a condom or whatever, or the glove, and
there's a speculum in one of them.
yeah. The one directed toward women, and the glove is the prostate exam, I guess, toward the guy. Are those having any impact? Are you getting any feedback? I mean, what is the perspective of millennials about the ACA by and large right now?
Well, I think the truth is that young people do want coverage. Only about 5% of young adults don't want healthcare coverage. The rest don't have it, who are uninsured, don't have it because they haven't been able to afford it, and they don't get an offer of coverage through their employer that's affordable. Right. So I think, we'll see as open enrollment continues, whether the ads have any effect, whether the scare tactics have any effect. We're really focused on getting information out to people about what's in the law and then letting them make an informed choice.
Yeah. And how do you do that?
So, one of our key messages is about financial security, that this is not only about taking care of your health, it's also taking care of your pocketbook. You never know when you're going to get sick, when you're going to get injured, and you can be in debt for thousands of dollars if something does happen.
Hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
Depending on what it is. But
so, it's an investment in your future, getting health insurances.
Yeah. Is it? It seems that given the ravages of 32 years of Reaganomics now, before Reagan came into office, 80% of college tuition was paid for by state, federal, or colleges. Now it's only 20%. So the effect of this is that tuition has quadrupled or quintupled or whatever it is. Before Reagan came into office, we had a protectionist trade policy. We still had manufacturing in the United States. The job market was tight. Pay was good. Now we no longer have manufacturing. I could go through a long list. We've gone from being the biggest creditor country in the world to the biggest debtor country in the world, and in large part, we have the most consumer debt in the world. We've got almost $1 trillion in credit card debt. We have more than $1 trillion in student debt.
Yep.
This is insane. This is absolutely insane. Is there a consensus growing among millennials that the old order doesn't work? And if so, do they get it that the old order is only 32 years old?
I mean, I think that there's certainly growing concern among our generation for these issues that you've talked about. We've had double-digit unemployment for
Right.
the last 6 years for young people. We have over $1 trillion in student loan debt. And one of the big reasons for that is the state divestment in higher education. And, Young Invincibles, for example, is starting to work with students and student governments who want to get involved in this issue in going and talking to their state legislatures about restoring some of that funding.
Speaking as an old fart here, I'm from the boomer generation, and when I was going to college in the late '60s and early '70s, you could literally work your way through school, work in a minimum wage job just in the summers, and pay for all of your tuition at a state university. I went to Michigan State University and Lansing Community College, and I worked in a gas station pumping gas. I worked at a radio station as a weekend DJ. My wife put herself through college working as a waitress in a Howard Johnson's. We had no student debt. I mean, I didn't know. The only person I knew throughout my entire teenage and early 20s who had student debt was a friend who was getting a PhD in math. I mean, it was for graduate school. People would get debt for graduate school or to become a doctor. Do you think most millennials know that that's how radical a change that we have seen, that Abe Lincoln established land-grant colleges in the 1860s as free universities, and they were free universities for almost 100 years before Reagan came along, that Thomas Jefferson created the University of Virginia as the first free college in the United States, and he saw a day when every college would be free, that we would invest in the intellectual infrastructure of our kids, and that 32 years of Reaganomics has just ripped this apart? Or do people just think this is how it's always been?
I think, unfortunately, there is a certain amount of acceptance of what the current state is, the state of play is. The average student loan debt is something like $27,000 right now, and young people know the importance of education and want to go to school and know that's important for their financial futures. And I think a lot of them feel kind of stuck, not knowing what other options there are for them other than taking out this tremendous debt.
Yeah, they need to be talking to their grandparents and their parents. And I know, when I was a kid, back in my day, but I think that there is a lesson here. We're talking with Christina Postolowski, who is with the. Am I saying that right?
Yep.
Close enough. YoungInvincibles.org is the website, working to wake up the millennial generation on healthcare and other issues as well, student loans and jobs. We've covered healthcare, I think, fairly well. I'm curious in the minute or so we have left what your thoughts are on the best way to address the jobs situation. We have not only massive unemployment, but now minimum wage workers. This study just came out yesterday or the day before from the Economic Policy Institute. Minimum wage workers are 3 to 4 times, the percentage of education that they have is like, hundreds of percent greater than it was in the 60s for the same kind of job. There was about a decade ago, I think it was Marriott was running ads bragging about the fact that their bellboys on average had a bachelor's degree. Right? I see that as a sign of a failing society, not a successful company. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there is certainly some truth to the situation that we're in, that we've got people who may be overeducated and underemployed. Yeah. I think there are a lot of people who are not able to make ends meet in the jobs that they have, especially at the current minimum wage, and that's a big challenge. Funding for job training programs has been cut in recent years as well for folks wanting to go into those manufacturing jobs or other jobs that need technical skills. And it's a real shame that these are people who are working and are still poor.
Yeah.